get started. Our instructor for this class is Suzette Stockton, and unfortunately, something came up and she was not able to be here today. So she pre-recorded her class for us. So I am going to share my screen and share that video that we recorded. And then towards the end, we're actually going to get back together and do some case study things and talk about how to apply some of the stuff that she's going to teach us.
This is Commissioner's Service for Units at Risk, MCS 304. I'm Suzette Stockton. I have been involved in scouting since 1989. I have served as a DIN leader all the way through and worked on the council for many years. And my favorite of all the things that I've done is serving on the Eagle boards and interviewing the young men for their Eagle Scout rank. And I have met many wonderful young men, and I'm grateful and know that our country is in good hands with that. Now, if you are a unit commissioner and you have been basic trained, there's a few things in here that is going to seem like you've heard before. Well, I think we repeat a lot so that we remember what we're doing. And so if you haven't been basic trained, be sure and get in and get basic trained, because that's very important at this stage, especially if you're a unit commissioner and you're trying to help units that are at risk. In this class, when we are done, you should be able to identify symptoms of a unit at risk. You should be able to determine possible causes of the problem. You should be able to describe approaches to solve the problem and use commissioner tools to clearly report to the ADC or the district commissioner the unit problems and the needs. Now, if you are not even familiar with commissioner tools, when you're done with this commissioner college today, get in there and start playing with it and learn all about it, because there's a lot of stuff in there and you're going to want to know how to use it. When you, there are two basic situations that you are going to figure out that there is a unit at risk. First off, you or another commissioner will go to a meeting and you'll see that there's something wrong or something not happening, or you'll read a report that you've been given from the council and they'll let you know that there's a problem. The other situation is that the district commissioner or the assistant district commissioner will get word from somebody that there is a situation or a problem. And so that's your two ways that you'll figure out that there is a unit at risk. And so how do we take care of that? Well, we have a process. First off, we recognize that there is a problem. We will identify the cause of the problem. You're going to investigate. You're going to pull together a team and investigate. And we'll talk about a team in a few minutes. You're going to determine the action that you're going to take to help solve this problem. You're going to act on it, review the results, and adjust. And then you're going to continue to monitor the situation. How do you know there is a problem? What are the signs of a unit at risk? There's so many different things. You know, some of the common ones are the unit's not advancing. There's youth dropping out. There's no recruitment or poor recruitment. There's no youth leaders for the troop. No discipline, and not discipline as in, you know, you've got to sit still and not do what you're doing, you know, but discipline as in they're just not doing the program like they're supposed to. There's no active adult leadership. There's no committee, and there's no planned program, and the charter lapses. And then there's other things, and I'm sure you can think of yourself, but how many of these things that I just mentioned do you need to have to be able to start working on it? Do we need to have 5? Do we need to have how many? Well, you only need one of those problems to get busy and start solving and helping the units solve their problem. Now, the first thing is that you're going to have to jump in, and you're going to have to, if there are problems that we are going to call critical, you're going to need to attack it first. And critical problems meaning that the unit is not meeting, or there's no adult leadership. And so you will need to get in and solve it for just a minute until you and your team have met together and solved the problem. and well, devised a plan. Okay. And so you're going to do, ask some parents to help, try meet with the key three and say, how can we temporarily do this until we find out what's the real problem, and get that going. And then most of the time, though, it may be something as simple as no advancement or very little advancement. They're not going camping. They're not, the leader wants to control everything. And so that can take a little bit of time, and you can meet with your team and be able to get a plan together to help solve that problem. So you've got your first one, and we're going to call that a critical one. You're going to jump in and help them, get them some leaders going and some meetings going. And then the other one, though, is just you have time, but don't take a lot of time. You want to get that done now. And then everything you do, anything, if you find that there's something going on and you kind of recognize, make sure you put it in the commissioner tools. And then when you decide, okay, this is what the problem really is, not what I just said, you're going to put that in the commissioner tools also. That way, your assistant district commissioner, your district commissioner know what's going on with the unit, and is aware that someone's working on it and it's just not being left out. All right, saw this cute little picture. Some issues you might see. You've got the scoutmaster that's twiddling his thumbs. You've got other leaders that are just running the program, and you see no youth running the program. So, all right. So I talked about forming a team. Why do we need to form a team? When we taught basic training before, we called it an ad hoc committee. And that's just gathering people together to help you, because if you do it by yourself, it's going to seem ominous. And some different reasons why we would have a team would be to divide the workload. And multiple groups can be asked to help and keep things going. The other thing is that you get a different perspective. Each commissioner involved has different experiences, and so that adds to helping and solve their problems. The next thing is that we have complementary skills. One commissioner may be really good at working with the youth and people, whereas the other one is more administrative. And, that way we can, complement each other and put all those things together to put the team together. To solve your problems. Okay, also too deep leadership. When we have too deep leadership, there's not this he said, she said thing going on. It is a situation where you've got someone on your team that has your back and that's with you, and that will, there's be no question when someone says, oh, well, you didn't say that. Well, no, yes, you did. And then the other thing is that you have a team so that there is safety in numbers, okay? And there's more than one helping to solve the issues. And then you don't have someone telling you, well, you told me this, because you've got witnesses that say, well, no, that's not what we said. We actually said this. Okay, so having a team is a good thing. All right, now in choosing your team, you need to have 2 to 4 commissioners, or depending on what the situation is. Now, if it's a matter of the unit just doesn't advance and they have no idea, so you can pull together yourself and the district advancement person. And if that person's not available or doesn't really know a lot, you can pull together the council advancement and get the help that way. And so pull together, a good team. You don't want to have, 50 or 60 people coming and helping this unit, because they're going to become very worried, So, 3 to 4, 2 at a minimum is good. You're going to look for people that have different skills than what you have. And so everybody combined can help put to the answers and help solve the problems. And then consider using experienced unit leaders and professionals. A lot of times the unit leader may have had the same situation happen in their unit, or they may be aware of the unit that you're working with and be able to help solve that, the problem with it all together. So we're going to identify the cause of the problem. Is it a symptom or is it really a problem? And so some of the things that could be a symptom is the unit leader is going to quit. So you're going to find out, why is the unit leader going to quit? Well, maybe they actually have a problem with the chartered organizational rep, or they have a problem with parents. So figure that out and find out what's going on. A unit does not meet. Well, does a unit really not meet, or are they just taking the month off, and maybe a person misunderstood what was going on? And so anyway, so that's some of the things that you can say, is this a symptom or is this really a problem? There are more often a symptom of the underlying problem, the things that we mentioned before, like parents are angry at another parent or a unit leader. So what's really going on? All right. Now, and with your team, you're going to talk over what you think you should do, what should be going on. Divide up who talks to who. And if one person is going to talk to the group, have the other one sit with the audience and, listen to what the parents or leaders are saying, and, then compare notes at the end. Okay, as you, in identifying the problem, you're going to talk to everyone also and listen to what they say. You're going to ask open-ended questions and actually listen, and then you're going to repeat what they have said and make sure that they know that you understand what's going on. If you haven't taken a communication class from the Commissioner College, be sure and sign when that is up. Be sure and take that, because that'll explain in more detail open-ended questions, listen again, and that type of thing. So that's a good class to take. Make sure you write down everything that's going on at the meeting that you're attending. Don't do it in front of them. I tried that one time, and I actually was at a basic training of a unit I had, a district I hadn't been to before. And they were doing some really good things. And I was so excited, and I was taking copious notes. Unfortunately, I was sitting on the front row, and they were very upset. And they asked me after the training, what did we do wrong? Did we do something that we shouldn't have? And I'm like, no, you guys were great. I was just taking notes. So the whole time they were thinking I was taking notes because they were not good, so don't take the notes, wait and save the notes for when you get out to the car and fill it out then. When you're done with the meeting and you're leaving, make sure you write everything, put everything in the commissioner tools. That way your ADC, assistant district commissioner, or the district commissioner know what's going on. All right, then you're going to talk to the key three. Now, typically you're going in blind with very little information when you go to a unit to see what's going on, or you've been reported that, this is in critical condition. And so ask the key three what they know. And, it'd be nice if you could talk to them all together. But if that's not possible and you have to call, make sure you call all the key three. Can't do it really at the same time, but one right after another, so one doesn't feel like they've been slighted if you talk to only one of the key three. So be sure and take care of that. Okay, then after you have spoken with the key three, call the unit leader and tell them you're going to be coming to one of their meetings, and whichever meeting you've decided to go to, whether it be the committee meeting or a DIN meeting or a PAC meeting or whichever troop meeting, let them know you're coming. Be sure and arrive early and let them know that you are there, and ask them if it's okay if you speak with the youth or the parents and the leaders at the meeting. Don't interrupt at any time, but when there is, something going on or they're having to take turns, that's a good time to speak to the other people that are at the meeting. Okay, a lot of times, and this is not something I've seen here in Utah, parents will attend the DIN meetings or the troop meetings. And so you can talk to them if you're at a troop meeting with them. and I think that's great, but it's kind of different. We haven't had that a lot. All right, now, as you attend a meeting, it's often best to, well, you'll get the most honest information there. Okay, and a lot of times if the meeting has been called as to address the problem at hand, make sure that the committee chairman has explained it to the committee as what's going on and that they are aware, and be sure and ask questions that the person that's speaking can let you know what's happening, and then repeat the answer that you got so that you are clear and they know that you are clear as to what has gone on. Once the meeting is over, remember that you may not be able to get all the information at once. You may have to go to several different meetings, you know, a committee meeting, a troop meeting, and that type of thing. And then you'll compile all the information. And so meet with your team right after the meeting. Go to a cafe. Here in Eagle Mountain, we have Ridley's, and they have a nice little community room that you can go to. It's above the produce department. They have tables and chairs, and it's open, you know, even during COVID. And so go, and people downstairs can't really hear anything that's going on. They can hear people talking, but they can't really distinguish. So just sit down, discuss with your team what was seen and what was happening, and then take notes. And the lead commissioner would go home and put that information into the commissioner tools. Don't be critical. Be careful what you write. State the facts and explain who, what, where, and when, and give details. But be careful what you write, because you're not the only one seeing this. The assistant district commissioner and district commissioner are able to see this. So be careful, but just put down again the facts. All right, so we're going to determine the action. All right. You can, if you're still not quite sure what to do, you may go to your monthly commissioner meeting and discuss this with the other commissioners. A lot of the time, the commissioners have been through what you're going through and can explain and help and give you ideas. All right, again, if it's a sensitive subject, then make sure that, and I'm not talking sensitive as far as youth protection sensitive. I'm talking just a sensitive subject that you don't want everybody knowing. Okay, so make sure, you know, you meet, if you're with the key three, you just the key three, or if you need to talk to your district commissioner, your assistant district commissioner, and district executive, that's a different subject. But if it's just a general problem, then that's a good place to get some answers that you may not find in other areas. So with your team, then you're going to make a plan on how to solve, and hopefully at this commissioner meeting, maybe you got some good ideas. You're not going to make just one plan. You're going to make at least three: a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. I used to think that you could just do two plans and just maybe do an outline of a plan C, but it's more imperative that you do all three, have them ready, and go with there. You might want to contact your district commissioner or district executive and see if they have any more information about the unit or any other ideas on how to put a plan together and solve the situation that they have. Remember, don't let this take too long. This is not months that we're working. These are weeks, okay? If you let a unit slip and keep slipping, the boys are just going to lose interest and you're going to lose the unit. And so take the first steps quickly and get them going and keep functioning. Now, this is my favorite part, all right? Prepare a unit service plan. Not to be confused with preparing an annual unit service plan. For years, I thought they were the same thing. They're not. They are totally different. And here's the best part about a unit service plan. For every situation or problem you have for that unit, you get a different unit service plan. So if they have a problem with camping, they have a problem with leaders, they have a problem with advancement, they have a problem with finance, you're going to prepare a unit service plan for each one of those situations. Who knew? I was so excited to find this out. Okay, so you will find the outline on where to fill it out in your My.Scouting. You're going to go to Commissioner Tools. You will go to the detailed assessment and scroll all the way down, and then you'll see Unit Service Plan. Click on that, and that's where you're going to be able to start filling this plan out. This is why you need to know how to use My.Scouting and Commissioner Tools. Very imperative. All right, so there are 6 questions that you're going to ask yourself, and you could probably do this with your committee. 6 questions to figure out what to put in this service plan. What problem must be solved? Okay, make sure it's a real problem and not just a symptom of a problem. Okay, then you're going to, what are your strategies? Okay, you're going to put your plan A, plan B, plan C, do your pros and cons of what they are. And then which strategies are you going to try first? Well, you thought, okay, this is plan A, we need to do this, and then, plan C. Meet with your key 3 and tell them, I'm going to do we as a committee want to do this plan A, and go through the different plans that you've set up. Now your key 3 may decide that they don't like plan A or plan B, and they want to go with plan C. Now, even though you and your team decide that, plan A is the best solution, it's the key 3's unit. And so they want to, they think that plan C is better. So go with plan C. You've already got plan A and plan B in place or ready to go. And you can work through the plan C and keep them happy. All right. And so who will be involved in this unit service plan? It's going to be different people. Okay, so if it's a problem with advancement, you're going to have yourself involved. You're going to have, maybe you've decided to bring in the district advancement person. Well, you're going to have that. A lot of times, though, the plan has to be implemented by the Scoutmaster or by the committee. So just know that there's different people that are going to help serve this or solve and work with this unit service plan. All right. How will you know that the unit is functioning well again? Okay, so the big thing is make sure that the goals that you set for the unit are attainable and measurable. Okay, and so then you can see things actually happen. Most of all, the critical issues will take more time than more than one meeting to solve. It's going to take, a few weeks and months to see what's going on. So make sure that you keep track of what's going on and attend your meetings. And then if all else fails, your key 3's idea of, plan C working better, and it doesn't work, well, you've got plan A and plan B. Go to the key 3 again and say, all right, this is not working. It's been, 6 weeks and it's definitely not working. So then you go to ask them if they would like to try plan A or plan B, and they'll probably go with plan A. Now you're going to go into action. And that means you're going to put your unit service plans into priority. What type of priority? Well, if the unit is not meeting, of course, that's your priority. If it has no leader, that's your priority. In fact, you've got 2. Usually if you have no leader, you have no meeting, so that you're going to have to work on right now and just get in there and get it going and get it solved. If it's advancement, if it's the unit doesn't know where to go camping, if we're having problems with training, then you can put that on the back burner while you're working on getting the unit going, the meetings happening. All right. And when do you act? You act now. You don't start in a month from now. You don't start in 6 weeks from now. You act now. Don't let the unit feel defeated or hopeless. And you need to be realistic, supportive, and they always say enthusiastic. I don't like that word. So I'm going to say be positive, because I don't want someone enthusiastic that my unit is failing, okay? But I want them to be positive towards me. And, when we're in conversations, and they say something like, I've seen this before and it's going to be okay. We're going to get this solved. Let the unit know that you care and that you want to help them and that you'll help them get through this situation that they're in. All right, now we're going to monitor the unit. We're going to review the results, and then we're going to adjust if we need to. All right, so knowing that no plan is going to be perfect, it's going to take you going to maybe every single meeting of the unit, whether it be a committee meeting one week, you're going to go to maybe a troop meeting the next week, you're going to go to, Cub Master meeting or whatever. You're going to go and you're going to keep an eye on this unit. And with social media, it makes it so much easier also, because you've got texting, you've got phone calls, you've got Facebook, you've got the group chats that many of the units are using, and you can keep an eye on what's happening in that unit. And then if something starts falling apart again, you can say, okay, I see this, and get a hold of the appropriate people and help them to get back on track. If while they are going through their adjustment and you review some of the things that have been written on the unit service plan, if it's not working, make sure that if you make an adjustment, you change it, maybe just tweak the one you have. Be sure and keep all those notes in the commissioner tools. That way the district commissioner and the assistant district commissioner are aware of what's happening in the unit. All right, communicate all progress to the key three and let them know, hey, this is great. We've got the unit going, they're meeting, you've got your leaders. We just need to work on getting advancement, and then we'll work on getting the boys going camping again. So make sure that you are honest and you're positive with them, but make sure they also know that they're not out of the woods yet. They still got to get these other things happening and taken care of. And again, be sure and keep the district commissioner and the assistant district commissioner aware of what's going on with the unit. And of course, do it through the commissioner tools. All right, you'll continue to monitor the unit for, at least, monthly, okay, after they are up and going and you can see they're doing, continue to monitor. Then at 3 to 6 months, you'll meet with the key three and you'll get your evaluation of how things are going and where things need to go next. And then you'll use this detailed assessment to prepare a new unit service plan based on their progress. So you're going to fill out a detailed collaborative assessment with the key three after the unit has been doing good for 3 to 6 months. Now, the following cases where life-saving may be needed, and we're going to review examples and decide how to solve the issue. The first test case that we have is you've been called by the district commissioner saying that he's been told PAC 259 is having critical issues. What do you do? Well, first off, what does he consider a critical issue, right? We're not aware, so what's the first thing you got to do? You've got to figure out what do they consider a critical issue? Is it the unit not meeting, or is it just simply maybe the boys have no discipline? So that's where you go in and you will start to figure out and help make a unit service plan. In summary, we've learned to identify the symptoms of a unit at risk. We have determined possible causes of the problem. We can describe approaches to solve the problem, and we can use commissioner tools to clearly report to the ADC, Assistant District Commissioner, and the District Commissioner. And for those that have questions or comments, now's the good time to start asking. Thank you.
I was grateful to Suzette that she was willing and able to record that class because, as you can see, she was prepared to do so, but a family health emergency came up so that she couldn't be here today. And so in that first test case that she brought up where the commissioner was just said, hey, this pack has got critical issues. I like the fact that she says, first, we need to find out what they mean by critical issues, because what's critical in one person's mind may not be critical in another person's mind. I was hoping that one or more of you have dealt with a unit that had what you considered to be a critical issue. And let's talk about it as a group as to what we could do to help that unit solve that critical issue they had. Anyone have an example?
And at least I have a girls troop that I'm working with. It's really heartbreaking to watch them because they have been through everything under the sun. We're now dealing with transgender issues, and it's causing a lot of issues with the Scoutmaster. She is not really want to do scouting anymore. So they're losing a lot of their leadership.
Okay, so according to what Suzette has taught us in this class, the first thing to do is to determine what the real problem is, right? And it sounds like you've gotten down to kind of the nuts and bolts of why this leader is considering quitting or not really feeling like doing much scouting right now. And then the next step was what? To assemble a team. So have you got people on your team to help you determine what can be done to help this unit?
We are working right now with the ADC and the DC to see if we are even going to continue to have this unit be a unit.
So that's good. You've got a team. I'm glad you're not trying to handle this all on your own. What kind of strategies have you come up with so far?
Well, we aren't quite that far in the process. Yeah, I have received word from the ADC that he is going to be contacting the COR because it's basically he determines what happens with this troop.
I wish you well with this. Anyone else have units or with current critical issues or past issues that you've solved?
I have a question. When they talk about the key three, I guess, like for a troop or something, or for a pack, are they talking about the COR, the committee chairman, and then the scoutmaster or cub master? Are those the key three?
Yes, that would be the key three of the unit, correct.
So it sounds like, I mean, the situation that last lady was just talking about, boy, that's a really difficult one because it's difficult for the whole country right now. Okay. And anyway, I wonder if one of the things that the lady who did the presentation here for us said, maybe to go to the key three and maybe have a meeting with all of those three people, plus the unit commissioner, or maybe the unit commissioner and the ADC or somebody else, but to have a meeting with them to maybe get started to work on this.
Groups of people often come up with better solutions than just one person, right? Because when we try and solve something on our own, we are only going off of our own experiences or our own thoughts. And when multiple people can put out ideas and stuff, we just expand the possibilities and possible solutions and things, because somebody else is going to think of something that we never thought of because they've had experiences that we haven't had. And let me share my screen, and I'm going to bring up another test case that is in the class information. Hope you can all read this. This is one of the the scenarios. He says, while visiting a troop, you ask the scoutmaster, when is their next camp out? And he says he has no campouts planned since he has never been camping. My first thought was, wow, a scoutmaster that's never been camping? Why are they a scoutmaster? Or who talked them into this? Because it doesn't sound like they're quite ready to be a scoutmaster. What could we possibly do about a scoutmaster who has never been camping before?
So for one thing, he needs to be trained. That would be a
Definitely.
good starting point. IOLS is a perfect starting spot for scoutmasters. I mean, IOLS takes them right through it's the introduction to outdoor leadership skills. So that's exactly what they need. Everybody's got to start somewhere.
That's very true. And I think the same is to be said if we're talking about a cub master and a pack, and you've got a cub master who's never been camping. And now that our packs here in Utah can go camping a lot more than they did previously, we may have cub masters who have not been camping before. And they, again, same answer would be get them trained, get them to Baloo training so that they know how to properly run a pack camp out and that. Okay. What else could we possibly do? Let's say that's plan A, to get them to that training. But maybe they don't like that idea. So we need a plan B and a plan C, according to Suzette. What could plan B or plan C be?
Extreme case, find a new scout leader, more qualified, more willing to, well, I don't remember it saying that this person wasn't willing, just said he'd never been camping before. But maybe a good qualified assistant. So that might be plan B, would be to find a good qualified assistant who has been camping and does like camping.
True. And hopefully that they've already got some assistant scoutmasters, assistant cub masters, den leaders, whatever, that have had experience camping and can help them along, even if they can't get to the official training. Yeah, that's a good plan B. Or maybe even a unit commissioner that has had a lot of experience camping and is willing to go on their first camp out and kind of help walk that scoutmaster or cub master through it, but better if it's an assistant that's actually a part of that unit. Yeah. Let's go back to her first question though. Is this a critical issue?
I think this is a very critical issue. And maybe it's because of my background in scouting, having worked at Camp Bartlett and Camp Kiesel. The boys or any of the kids are interested in having experiences and learning by their experiences. And I think that's part of why it's such a critical issue.
Okay, I agree. I think it also could depend partially upon the unit itself. Some units are very into camping, right? And some units may not be. If a troop is not set up, we are going to camp every month, and they are straight up in their bylaws or their plans or whatever that we only go camping quarterly or whatever, I mean, that's their choice, right? And the families that join that troop know that they only camp quarterly, then is it a problem that they don't camp every month? No, not a critical problem, at least. Now, if they've been a year and have never been camping yet, I don't think they're quite getting the scouting program that they should be getting. But then again, if all the families in that unit are completely happy with the fact that they have not been camping, then maybe it's not a critical issue. So I think it kind of depends upon the unit as well.
It would seem to me that the majority, though, of scout units, scouting units, not Cub Scouts, but scouting units, that one of the big reasons why the boys want to be a member of a troop or the girls want to be a member of the troop is because the troop goes camping. They want to do something different that they don't do any other way because their parents don't take them camping. And I mean, most parents don't do that anymore. That's the reason why they join. So it'd be hard pressed. I mean, I guess you could find a troop where most of the people in the troop going camping quarterly would be okay. But I would think that a majority of boys and girls too, that's not why they joined scouting, for it to be that way. They joined because they get to go outside, stay overnight outside, and do things and learn things, something else that they don't get any other way except in the scouting program.
I agree. I agree. I think, when you think scouting, one of the first things comes to mind is camping, right? So if camping is not happening, odds are scouting is not happening the way people envision. And I think, when you think of Cub Scouts, I think one of the things people think about is Pinewood Derby. So if you've got a pack that has never done Pinewood Derby, now this may not be a critical issue, but it's one of those key things that people tend to think about, and so we need to look at what really is critical. And I think if you've taken some of the classes and learned about the coaching model and some of the questions that we can ask to get deep into it and find out what the real problem is, sometimes what we think is the problem on the surface is just a symptom, like she mentioned, and we really need to learn how to question and find out what the real problem is so that we can address that. Because if we just address symptoms, we're not really solving the problem. And I think right now, where we've got so many brand new units, and girl units are the good example of that, because girl troops have not been around very long. So most of our girl troops are dealing with some issues only because they are brand new. And a lot of our leaders and girls have just never done some of this before.
Oops, we're out of time. Thanks so much for being here today.